Designing with Microthemer is a two-step process. First, we target something on the page by creating a selector. Then we apply new styles. To enter targeting mode, we simply click the Target button. Microthemer will highlight the elements we hover over. To select something, we just click it. To deselect, we just click anywhere on the page again. Let's click the header element to select it. It's a good habit to work with the advanced targeting options expanded. The advanced options reveal the ugly underside of the web page, the raw HTML and CSS code, as well as suggesting ways to target elements over on the right. All of this can be scary if unfamiliar, but mastering these tools will allow us to be highly effective with Microthemer, no matter what theme or plugin content we want to style. Rather than try to explain everything in the abstract, we'll visit the options one at a time, as and when they become relevant to styling the various elements on the page. Let's start with the option to limit selectors to one page. To do this, we click the CSS modifiers icon, and then enable the page ID option. Now, all of the selectors Microthemer generates will be specific to whatever page we're working on. By the way, this is also where we would enable hover selectors or any other pseudo selector. Microthemer auto-generates the descriptive label when we target elements. Sometimes this will save us writing our own, other times it's worth changing to something more meaningful. In this case, the default label will do. Just to be organized, let's create a custom folder for our selectors, and then click the Create Selector button to finish. We can now apply some new styles. Let's increase the height of the header to 430 pixels to give our video a nice backdrop, and then set the background color. Microthemer includes some useful color palettes. We can sample colors affecting the current page here, and save our favorite colors via the Save button. So let's apply a previously saved red color, and then add Themeover's butterfly branding as a background image. We can adjust the size and position of our background image too. Because we want our title and video to overlap with the header, we will target the element that contains all the central content and shift it up. As we're customizing a Beaver Builder page in this example, we're after the top-level Beaver Builder container element. So we start by clicking the Target button, and then hover around the page until the highlighting looks right. The trouble is, we get a single row instead of the container element that holds everything. It's not possible to single out the element we want due to the lack of space separating the container element from the elements inside it. This is a common problem, but the advanced targeting options provide an insight and a solution. Look at the breadcrumbs below the HTML code. Notice that the highlighted option has the word row in it. So does the option to the left, but the option to the left of that says FL Builder content. So we can click the breadcrumb to switch targeting to that element. Now if we look at the highlighting, we can see that it does cover all of the Beaver Builder content. Microthemer's auto-generated label isn't ideal in this case, so let's change it. And then click the Create Selector button. To move everything up, we can use a CSS trick where we give the top margin a negative value of minus 420 pixels. Now for the page heading, a relatively simpler task. We just click on the page heading, adjust the label, and then create the selector. Let's improve the contrast by darkening the text color, and then center align it. We can then create a selector for the tagline. Change the text color to white, increase the font size a bit, and also center align it. Now to make the video look pretty. To improve the contrast of the page, we can create a selector for the main wrapper element, and then set the background of the whole page to white. Then we create a selector for the video itself. But we have a problem. Clicking on the video triggers the JavaScript lightbox functionality. So the way to overcome this is to click near the element and then switch targeting, either using the breadcrumbs as we did before, or in this instance by clicking on the line of HTML that we recognize from adding our custom HTML via Beaver Builder earlier. We could also have used a third option, the HTML navigation arrows. We can then customize the label and create the selector. Let's add some box shadow to help our video stand out. We'll give it an even blur and a semi-transparent grey colour so it blends well with the white and red backgrounds. We will set the max width to half of the actual size of the image. That's so the image appears crisp on high-resolution displays. To centre it, we will set margin left and right to auto. So our page is beginning to take shape, but so far we've just demonstrated how to apply a handful of styles to individual elements. We're yet to tap into Microthemer's ability to style multiple elements in one go. So let's do that with the overview subheadings. If we enable targeting mode and then click on one heading, the default targeting is just for that one heading. But Microthemer suggests alternative selectors that will target the element we clicked as well as related elements on the page. The numbers on the right are useful for showing us how many elements each suggestion targets. So we can choose the option for targeting 2 elements. Notice how the blue highlighting changes to reveal the scope of the selector. It looks good, so we can go ahead and create the selector. Now we can add some icons to the headings. We can adjust the padding to make room for the icons. Add a background image. Tweak the position. Set repeat to no repeat. And finally, set the size of the icon. We can then create a separate selector for the Microthemer heading. And add the Microthemer logo. Now let's target another set of elements, the 4 buttons. We start by selecting one button, and then choose the alternative suggestion that targets all 4 buttons. We can give it a better label, and then create the selector. Let's change the background to green. Increase the padding. Remove the border. And increase the border radius. Let's also change the font color to white. Except that won't work. Why? Let's use the targeting options to find out. If we look closely, the highlighting reveals that the button is actually made of 2 elements, a link element with a span element nested inside. Watch how the breadcrumbs change as we move our mouse left and right. We previously targeted the outer link element, so let's target the inner span element this time. Now is a good time to introduce the Styles pane. This tells us which CSS styles already apply to an element. We can see that Beaver Builder sets an explicit color on the span element. which is overriding the white color we set on the parent link element. The Styles pane is great for diagnosing issues like this, but can slow down the browser when active, so we recommend using it only when needed. The Computed Styles pane provides similar information, with some key differences. Sizes are always shown in pixel units, and there is no information about which selector applied the style. Back to the issue at hand. We can create a selector that targets the button text for all 4 buttons, and then successfully override the text color.